Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and another Star Wars Battlefront 2 news roundup, because today we've actually got quite a lot to talk about. We have Grievous abilities spotted in the files, which I want to discuss at least a little bit. I mean, we are probably getting official news about Grievous within a couple of weeks, but since this was found in the files, I will be talking about it a bit later in the video. And then we've got a lot of news from Ben, who had a little bit of a Q&A session last night out on Discord. But let's start off with the news about the roadmap. Most of you probably know that the roadmap that was supposed to come out this Friday got delayed, but if you haven't followed me on Twitter or you haven't looked at Reddit and so on, basically Ben was waiting the entire day for the roadmap to get sent back to him from approval, and he was up 30 minutes past midnight on Friday waiting for that email to come in with the roadmap, but unfortunately it never appeared and therefore it obviously got delayed. But he did say that he will have an update for us on Monday, and that's when he will be pushing for its release. So it's really a shame to me that whoever over at Lucasfilm or EA is in charge of these approvals consistently delay stuff. This is not the first time a deadline that they have given us have been broken because of the approvals. Not because they haven't finished the actual text or image or whatnot, but because they just cannot approve it fast enough, which is incredibly frustrating to me. I can totally understand not meeting a deadline for like a hero or something like that, because that's obviously technically difficult to create, but when something is done and all it needs to do is go through approval and they still can't do that, I think that they really gotta take a close look at whatever kind of approval system they have. Honestly, it's not a big deal in this particular case, because roadmap version 3 that was coming out on Friday is probably not gonna be something major. Like, I'm guessing maybe some specific dates for Grievous, and I'm guessing maybe winter months will get the specific months for each hero and game mode and such. But it's more about the thing that they consistently screw up these approvals, and I can imagine how frustrating it is for Ben, especially when he decides to say stay up for that late to give us that roadmap, and they still just cannot send him the email saying, hey, here you go, here's the roadmap, put it live. Incredibly frustrating, but oh well. So moving on, Ben did respond to a lot of questions out on Discord yesterday, and I picked out some of the ones I thought was the most interesting and thought we could discuss them a little bit. So first of all, the hotfix coming out next week should be arriving on Wednesday or Thursday, and we don't really know what's gonna be in this hotfix yet, but I'm guessing probably fixes for those Xbox issues, maybe some squad system fixes as well, and so on. And the more major changes will probably not arrive until with the Grievous update. Moving on, he talked a little bit about wanting to get a community calendar out, something that could include in-game events, talking points and things like that, which is something I think could be really good to have. I mean, we have the roadmap that kind of spans multiple months, but having a specific calendar for each month where you would see, oh, this weekend there's a double XP event, or this weekend you will have this particular challenges, things that are too small to be on a roadmap, but at least interesting enough that it would be good to know them in advance, I think is something good. And while we're talking about those events, Ben has been very clear about the fact that they can be quite free with those kind of events now, like, you know, the vehicle weekend that we had a couple of weeks ago. For instance, he said obviously lower the cost of battle points, but also stuff like remove hero limits. So imagine a weekend of insane galactic assault. I think that could be really cool. It would probably get frustrated in the long term, but if it was only for a day or two, I wouldn't mind. Imagine seeing 8 heroes on each side in galactic assault. That would be completely crazy, and I guess there might be some limits to what they could do, but imagine if they could have 20 heroes on each side, where you would have 2 or 3 Yodas, or similarly. I feel like that's probably where the limit will be at, but 8 versus 8 heroes would still be crazy. That's twice as many as the last phase of the game currently has, and would cause for some interesting gameplay, to say the least. There will also be a double XP weekend in October, which they unfortunately moved from this weekend in September. In terms of live streams, he said that live streams are making progress, about to secure the office space, and I just signed a check for some equipment, etc. So that's good to see, but I did also later clarify that in terms of live streams, I'd really love to get it done for October, but I suspect Battle of Geonosis will be our first stream, and Battle of Geonosis is what the update in November will be called. Another change he confirmed is that the ATRT is having its battle point reduced directly from community feedback, and I think that's a pretty good change. The ATRT is not as good as its battle points suggest, I would say. I mean, the average kill count on something like an LIUV on Starkiller base is probably a lot higher than an ATRT, although it's a lot cheaper. So a change that definitely makes a lot of sense. And it also gives us a nice little hint here regarding Geonosis, saying there's a part on Geonosis when you see it the first time that you will think, holy shit. And yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing what in particular that could be. I was thinking maybe it could be something about the core ships, like the Trade Federation ships that we see trying to escape at the end of Attack of the Clones. Maybe one of those would fly up in the background, and if you want to, you can shoot it down and maybe get some extra points. Who knows? But something like that could be really insane, because there are a lot of large scale things they definitely could do on that map. I mean, maybe it won't be something you can interact with, but imagine if one of those ships goes straight down into the ground and then it causes this kind of sandstorm like it does in the movie, and all of a sudden the entire map will be a sandstorm and you will only be able to see 10 meters in front of you, all because one of those ships crashed down. I'm just speculating right now, but something like that would definitely make me say holy shit. Moving on, he did say that we will be seeing more of Grievous before release. Yes, he wasn't sure on a trailer, but definitely some screens and other bits. Maybe try and release some audio clips. So based off that, I'm guessing we probably won't get a trailer, which would be a shame. I mean, I kind of always feel like I appreciate DICE's sense of quality with the trailers, but it also wouldn't be wrong like releasing a 10-second gameplay clip of General Grievous, or maybe just have him, you know, in the menu where you can inspect and just have like a black background, something like that. Just a small teaser of him actually moving and maybe doing an emote or something like that. That's more than enough to get me hyped. It doesn't have to be this fully fledged, super expensive to make trailer, you know, but we'll see. I'm guessing they're probably saving the big trailer for the Battle of Geonosis. He did also confirm that they are making changes to the squad UI, something a lot of people have requested, and I hope that means that we will be able to see our squad members while we're actually playing. That's something that I and many others have requested, so that you know if a teammate is dead, and therefore you can try to stay out of combat so that they can spawn on you. But those are all the points from Ben that I thought was worth bringing up in a video. Now I want to move over to General Grievous, because the same person, Galaxy Man, who found all the other stuff I talked about previously about Grievous, has now also figured out the actual animations for the abilities. And the 3 ability names, according to the files, is Claw Rush, Thrust Surge and Unrelenting Advance. Again, this is not official, but it has been found in the files. And something very interesting about Claw Rush is that he actually managed to put that animation on Ray, and as you can see, it's kind of like something out of a horror movie. But it's obviously gonna be something that's gonna look a bit like this, where General Grievous goes down on his legs and kind of runs forward. The question is, what exactly is that ability gonna be used for? I'm hoping it's gonna be a bit like a shoulder charge kind of ability, but hopefully stronger, where you would run straight through the enemies and kill anyone in your path, so that it can be used both for escaping and for just rushing straight through people. I just hope they're gonna make it powerful enough, because it would suck if 1 or 2 of the abilities are something that looks cool but they don't actually have any good use. But that's my guess for that. And in terms of Unrelenting Advance, that makes me think it's something like in the movie where, you know, he spins his lightsabers and slowly goes forward. I'm not sure entirely how useful that would be in the game, at least if he moves as slow as he does in the movie, but I'm sure he can run and spin his lightsaber at the same time. I don't see why he couldn't do that. But there are a few situations where I could see that still being helpful, at least if that spin blocks blasters, because you could do that straight through a corridor, and it would be horrifying if you see Grievous spinning all his lightsabers, walking slowly towards you, you're throwing everything at him and he doesn't take any damage. So yeah, I can definitely see some use for it. And then of course Thrust Surge, I'm not entirely sure about that one actually, that's the one I'm most unsure about. Could be like a frenzy ability, could be a thrust kind of where you like lunge forward towards an enemy. But again, it's pretty hard to know. But I think Claw Rush is the one that's the most kind of specific, since we can even see the animation applied to Ray. And Ben did also say that yes, Grievous animations are applied to his model, he's fully playable right now, which is good to hear considering that he's been released in less than a month from now, which means that yeah, he should probably be pretty much finished now and just have some slight polishing touches and maybe some balancing done to him. But yeah, That is all for this video. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. I will be back with a stream later tonight as always. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the force be with you.